What's that? You're going on vacation? I happen to love planning vacations. Alright, so if you haven't guessed, today I want to talk some more about planning a vacation. And today is actually a collaboration with Stacy, Mommy Magic, and she is also going to share how she plans for vacation. Now, Stacy has 4 kids as well, just like me, and yeah, we can't just up and leave. We got to actually do quite a bit of planning before we leave when you have that many kids. So be sure to check out her video. I'm sure she has a ton of great tips, and I can't wait to watch it myself. Alright, so I actually have done a video just on general vacation planning. And I believe that's more what Stacy's video is going to be about, is kind of a general vacation planning. But today, for my video, I wanted to do something a little bit more detailed. So, be sure to check out her video, and then you can come back and see this one. And I am picking Disney World. And a lot of my tips here will actually go for Disneyland too. So this is a great way to plan a Disney World or a Disneyland trip. And I know there's tons of videos out there about how to do this, but this is what works for me. And I feel like I get pretty good deals. So if you're a bargain hunter, you might want to follow some of these tips, because you guys, I mean, seriously, I got us there as a family of 6. Of course, now 2 of those were under the age of tickets, so they didn't cost tickets, so keep that in mind. We went to Disney World for like, oh goodness, how long? 5 days, 6 nights, stayed at the park, like on property, and I believe we spent maybe just a little under $3,000, and we had the full dining plan, the works, you guys. It was a great trip. It was not that much money. It was really inexpensive, and that included like travel. That was getting to the park and getting home, hotel, to and from, like everything. You can't really beat that. I mean, it's hard. So yeah, let me tell you what I do. All right, so to begin your vacation planning for a Disney park, and actually this is kind of the same general guideline I follow for any vacation we're going on, but then obviously you have some extra Disney steps. So I kind of figure out dates, and I do not just set on this is the only week we're going, period, because I want to get a good deal. So I pick several dates. I try and research when is a good time to go there, like when is low crowds, when is off season. If you're going to like Disney World, and Disneyland's kind of the same, but Disney Worlds are definitely like winter and like hurricane season, but not into October, because if you get into October, they have the Halloween party, and then there's Christmas, and those are pretty popular. But if you go in fall, like August, September, it's pretty low crowd season, which means cheaper. And then January, February is also usually kind of cheaper. And you kind of have to watch, because at Disney World they do a running, like a marathon, and that makes the prices go up if you're there at that exact time. But as long as you just kind of avoid the weekend they're doing that at, it's pretty easy to get a good deal there. Disneyland's off seasons are similar, but just slightly different. January is kind of a slow place for everywhere. I think everywhere is slow in January, so it's always kind of a good time to try and go if you can. But just research which one you're wanting to go to and what would be the slower season that would work for you. All right, so I prefer to go in January, February-ish is when I like to go. The weather's not too bad. It's pretty nice. It's one of their lower rain times, which I don't like getting rained out there. It's kind of frustrating, but it happens a lot in Florida. But I find January, we have very minimal rain. And February trip was kind of the same way. So I like to go then. So what I do after I pick my dates is I usually have about 3 to 4 dates I'm working with. And I usually do like 2 or 3 in this like January time, and then I'll do one totally random that's like later, like in September or something, just to kind of get an idea of what is a better deal. And I look at what they've got going on. They have lots of different promotions they run. I know right now they're doing like a 30% off hotel rooms, or you can do a free dining plan. You have to book by X date and you have to stay between X and X date. but they usually have similar promotions going on all the time. So just look and see what promotions they're offering and if they work for when you're going. All right, so now your next step is going to be what I do, or at least what I do, is I go to their website and I just price my vacation. They have a little tab that says price your vacation on their website or app. I do that. I put in our dates and I say all resorts because I want to get an idea for what they all are, and my tickets, and I do all that. And then I'm keeping track of this all on a piece of paper. I use a pen and paper and I actually write out my date, what it is. I do like Disney website, and this is their package price they gave me for this date, this date, this date. All right, then I go, okay, so this is the best package deal that they can give me with their promotions going on for this week. Let me see if I can do better. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. So like I booked last time through that, I did that. It was the best rate I found was their package rate. Then after I'd booked it a few weeks later, I saw that they added a free dining plan for when we were going. So I called and asked if they could add that to our package, and they're like, yeah, we can. So we ended up getting free dining as well, even though I didn't initially get that. So that's another thing, is keep up with what promotions they're running, because if they end up running one later after you've booked, but it still works for the right dates, they'll add it to your package. So, all right, so then I go and see how much are just tickets. If I were to just purchase tickets for this many days, how much money would it be? And I always put the non-park hopper, and then I put park hopper prices underneath. And I just know park hopper is more money, so I usually only do that once just to get an idea of how much more money it is, to keep in the back of my mind to decide later when I'm done, okay, do I want to do park hoppers or do I not and want to save that much money? I like park hoppers personally, but I know a lot of people prefer just to do one-day tickets. But I like having the flexibility of going, you know what, I'm kind of done here and I want to go back to Magic Kingdom. And so I do that. But I'm not an overly scheduled person when it comes to going to Disney. I kind of go with more like what I'm feeling like doing. To a certain extent, Disney, you got to plan. To a certain extent, you got to get your fast passes. You got to get your dining reservations. But when I can be flexible, I like to be. Okay, so once I know what my tickets are, then I look at how much the resort is on its own, usually like a nightly rate, and I usually pick the resort, either that one that I'm really wanting to stay at, or two that has the best deal, or the best deal of the one you want to stay at, if that makes sense. So say like I would love to stay at Polynesian, but sometimes that's just like not feasible. Like I'm not gonna spend $600 a night. Sorry, not gonna happen. But I can stay at this other resort that I like for $200 a night. So I'm not even gonna bother writing the $600 a night resort down, because I know we're not gonna do that. So I do the 200 night one. Okay, so I know that I can get a room for 200 nights. And you don't have to write all this out if you can keep it all straight in your mind. But if I don't write it all out and have it so I can look at, I forget 10 minutes later. So I know that I can get a Disney hotel for $200 a night or X amount. I'm just throwing these numbers out there, you guys, so do not hold me to like that's what number these actually are. Totally just throwing these out randomly, making them up off the top of my head. Okay, so then there's several different places you can look to find Disney hotel rooms. You can look around on those like Expedia and stuff, and they actually do sometimes have them. I have never found that they had a better price than what Disney was offering, but you can check, because you never know. So you can check. And then the other place you can go is PVC points. They are people who own Disney Vacation Club membership, and they have rented out their places for you. I have never actually done this. I have looked into it twice, and both times it just didn't work out for me. They didn't have anywhere that available for the dates that I needed, and I wasn't able to change the dates at that point in time to be more flexible. And they also are, I think they can only rent to certain places, and they didn't have where I was wanting. It just didn't work. But that doesn't mean it wouldn't work for you, and it may work for us in the future. I want to look at it again, and I am not going to just knock that off the table, because I know it works great for some people. So I will keep continuing to look into that and figuring that out. The one I tried is a direct contact with a person who has points there that a friend gave me information for. but I know there's actually a website that you can go to that's supposed to be legit. I've never actually used it, so don't hold me accountable, but it's supposedly legit, where a lot of people who have those to rent out have gone, and you can rent from them. So you could check that out. I've looked at it a time or two, but I don't know. I didn't feel comfortable doing it yet. And I found places that worked well for us at a price that I was happy with, so I just didn't do. But there's somewhere else you can check, and they are like bigger, nicer rooms, I believe. They're not just like the normal smaller room. So that's something you can look into. Now, another thing that's new to me as well are Airbnb. And I know that's not really new, but it's new to me. I actually just booked our first Airbnb for a trip to the beach, and I'm super excited. I cannot believe the rate I got. It was way cheaper than a lot of the hotels there, and it's a condo right on the beach. It's amazing. So, yeah, I'm really impressed with that. So I was like, well, why haven't I thought to do this at Disney World? Now, I don't really like the idea of staying miles away from the park. Part of the reason I like staying at Disney on their property is because I like being right there on their property. So I'm willing to pay a little bit more to stay on property. But I did see there are some Airbnbs that are basically on property. You really couldn't be any closer. There, if you look at the map, they're like right there, kind of mixed in with some of Disney's resorts. There's some there now down by Disney Springs, which is, I mean, really close. And Disney has started charging to park your car, which we like to drive. If you fly, this does not affect you. We like to drive, but they do charge to park a car. So that was always a big savings, that if I stayed at the property, then I didn't have to pay to park. But since I'm going to have to pay park anyway, it kind of takes away some of that, well, I want to ride their transportation system. I'm like, well, I could just drive in then, because I'm going to pay that either way. So I am more open to the Airbnb than I was ever before. And you can get some really great rates. In fact, this last Disney trip that I priced and did everything, staying for a nice long time, staying just as close as the resort I had, and actually the Airbnb was a lot bigger and a lot nicer than the Disney hotel that I was going to be able to stay in. And my trip priced $1,000 cheaper. So that was a huge savings. And part of the problem too with us is Disney has some great rates if you're a family of 4, possibly 5. But when you're a family of 6, it's really hard. They only have a few select type of rooms that you're even allowed to stay at. Some resorts are completely off the table altogether. They don't even have rooms that will hold us. So it really makes our vacation planning a little bit more expensive than it did back when we only had 2 kids. So that's kind of where the trick lies. If you're a big family, these Airbnbs kind of seem to be heaven sent. I mean, where else can you get an entire house for the same price as a hotel room? But, all right. So check all your options there. I'm sorry, I'm really rambling today. All right, so once you write down the prices of the Disney hotel, the Airbnb, if you want to do the PVC points, and then if you really want to be even cheaper, you can look a little further out. You can stay at hotels off property. You can stay at Airbnbs even further off property. You know, like you can stay somewhere that's 5 miles away and get an amazing rate. And that's really not that far. If money is really a big issue for you and you really need to save every penny that you can, that is something that you can look at, and you can actually save quite a bit. But you do want to make sure you calculate in the gas to and from and parking. But like I said, you do have to pay parking now even at the Disney park resorts. So it's kind of evened itself out. You're going to pay to park one way or the other if you're not staying at a hotel and you flew in. But all right, so moving on. The other thing that we like to do is the Disney dining plan. And I see a lot of people on here who are really not big fans of that. And I mean, you know, what works for you is what works for you, but we love it. And I don't know that I would pay for it. We would not end up eating as well while we're at the parks. But if you if you find it cheap, like they sometimes run even like half off prices or something, I would definitely do it. And if they're running it for free, I would definitely do it, because you can order anything you want on the menu. It doesn't matter how much money it is. So you can go to the expensive restaurant that's a sit at only, and it would cost us normally like $200 to eat there. But with the Disney dining plan, like we got it for free. We didn't pay anything for our food. Or if you get it half off, like the one time we did, it was $100 a day is basically what it ended up being that we were paying for food with the Disney dining plan. We would have spent $200 at that one restaurant alone. So it's a huge deal, because we get, so for basically $100 a day is what we ended up paying with that promotion they were running then. Like I said, this always changes. So these numbers are not hard numbers. You know, you got to look and see what's going on for you at that moment. But basically for $100 a day, we got 2 snacks a day, which for us worked out really well, because I did still pack a few snacks for the kids, because, you know, little kids, I didn't want them just, I don't know, having like popcorn all the time or something, but they had some like granola bars, things like that. But me and my husband were able to basically get like a Starbucks coffee in the morning, every morning. And then and this is per person. So, and then we could get like a pastry. And then later in the day, we were able to get like popcorn and something else, because, you know, the kids don't actually need the whole 2 snacks a day. And when you get like a big popcorn, you actually can all share that. So it was more than enough snacks for us all the whole time we were there. It was great. We also got to eat at a quick service is what they call it. So it's like burgers, chicken. It's anywhere that you don't have to like make a reservation for, basically. And so that was great. We did that for lunch, which you didn't have to. Sometimes I did for dinner instead, and I did a nicer restaurant for lunch. But anyway, so you do a quick service, and that is for each person, and that includes a drink too. So that's your meal and your drink. And then we would do a sit-down restaurant. And this is really where the savings came in. If you only did quick service and snacks, you could probably really watch your money and stay cheap and maybe do it less. But I don't know, $100 a day for a family of 6, it's hard to beat that, even if I'm just doing like, you know, the grocery store and eating out once a day. I mean, that's really, eating out even just like at the local Mexican restaurant will cost us anywhere from $50 to $60. You know, like we're a big family. So anyway, it was a deal for us. But these restaurants, now if you do something like Cinderella's Magic Table, I believe it takes 2 points. So it actually counts as like 2 dining meals or credits. But if that's what you want to do, it's so worth it. I mean, it really is. But yeah, it was great, because we did all these character dining places, which I would not probably have been able to afford had I not gotten the Disney dining plan. I was so excited, and we ended up loving it. I love the character dining, and I didn't even know that I would. It's something I was kind of like, I don't know if it's worth it, but it was totally worth it for us. So that was a really good savings. So really watch for those dining discounts or the free dining plan. And if you can make your trip go for when they're having that, I mean, I would really recommend it, unless it like raises your cost like $1,000, and then obviously it's kind of a wash and doesn't help at all. But watch for that, because it was really a good savings. All right, and then I'm almost done, you guys. I thank you so much if you are still watching. I know I am like super talkative today, and I just keep rambling on. But okay, so once you've done all that, you got to get there. So we almost always drive, always. But I always check airlines, because I just want to make sure that I'm still getting the best deal. And since we are a large family, I don't think it's ever going to be cheaper to fly than it is to drive. So, and honestly, I kind of like driving. So if we can drive it, like if it's close enough that we can actually do it, we're going to do it. Now, like Disneyland, I can't do it with my husband. Me and the kids actually have driven to Disneyland, but it's too far. My husband doesn't have that much time to spend 3 days out there, 3 days back, plus a week at Disneyland. We just don't have that kind of vacation time for him at one point. So we always drive. But, you know, if you're a smaller family, flying might actually be a better deal for you, or depending on where you live, it might be a better deal for you. But so check your airlines, figure out how much it would be to fly. Don't forget to add in, you know, the cost of parking a car or renting a car, or anything that comes along with any of that. If you're driving, you know, the cost of gas and food there, and hotel there if you need a hotel there. So, you know, just look at all of that and get your one lump sum. Then what I do is I look at what's the cheapest week. What's the cheapest hotel that I'm willing to stay at or want to stay at. Like, you know, if you can stay at X hotel for $5 a night, but you can stay at your dream hotel for just a little bit more, I'm willing to spend a little bit more to stay at my dream hotel. But maybe you aren't, or maybe you just can't. Because that is another thing. If the only way I can go to Disney or take my kids to Disney is if I keep it under this amount of money, I'm going to cut where I have to cut and make it happen. That's just kind of the way I am, because I feel like it's important to spend time together. And I know you can go other places. I know you don't have to go to Disney, but we love it there. And seeing how happy they are there and stuff, I mean, if it means I'm going to stay at this hotel instead of that hotel, I will totally stay at the other hotel, because it's really not that big of a deal at the end of the day. I also will cut days. Like if I can only go for 4 days instead of going for 6 days, I'll do 4 days. But I don't know that I would recommend doing less than 4 days unless you go a lot, because there are 4 parks and then there's the 2 water parks, which we don't ever do the water parks, especially going in January. You don't want to get wet. But I mean, there's 4 parks. So, I mean, unless you're okay with just going to 1 park basically, or 2 parks, you really need at least 4 days to get a pretty well-rounded experience. Not to say you can't go for 1 day and have fun, but it also is actually more cost-effective to go for longer. The longer you go, the better discounts you get, the less per day you pay. So you pay more overall, yes. But say you go for 6 days, you only pay like $80 a day versus going for 1 day and you have to spend $110 to go 1 day. So you see what I mean? It's a better value to stay longer. But, so, you know, that works in there too. But, anyway, so you price them all out, figure out what's the cheapest or the best price for you, the best week that's going to work for you, and do it, you know, just book it. If you figured out that if you buy tickets and you stay at this hotel and you've added them together and it's cheaper than their package, and, you know, you've figured out all the dining stuff and everything, then do that. Now, keep in mind, if you stay off park, I do not believe you can do the free dining. So, you will need to make sure you calculate food in there. But yeah, I hope this helps. I feel like I've really rambled a lot, but it's just a matter of picking days, figuring out prices for those days, and just making sure you include it all. And do what works for you. I do well listing everything out, and I have like my totals just lined up at the bottom with dates, and that includes everything: travel, food, and then I'm able to see what the differences are and know what I want to do. I'm also able, sorry if you're still there, my phone's dying. I'm also able then to see, okay, this is just way too much. Can I cut? And I'm able to look and see if I can cut back anywhere. Because I don't always just try and go on vacation for the bottom dollar. I mean, I want a good deal and I want a good value, but like I'm not always just trying to spend $5 just because I want to make sure I only spend $5, even though I could have maybe spent 10 and enjoyed something more. You know, there's a level of this is just what I want to do with my money. But yes, anyway, I hope that all makes sense. Oh my goodness, I am so jabbery today. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to check out Stacy's video if you're still with me, and I will see you all soon. I really, really, really appreciate if you watch my videos, and I'm so glad you're here, and I will talk to you later. Bye.